Wait, what?
Wait, what? Episode 1. Think fast. What do Egypt, Arizona, and Mars have in common? If you just thought pyramids to yourself, stay tuned. I have a story that is so real, I'll have you guessing by the end if it's real or fake. It all started when I was about 12. I had an idea for a novel back then that I never had the opportunity to write. I still have it in my head, though. It was about my plucky heroine, in auburn pigtails, traveling to Mars and exploring the new base camp newly established there. Eventually, this story blossomed into a tale of building large cities underground, harvesting energy, creating a bubble structure, enclosing it like a dome over the top, controlling the weather inside the dome, and eventually terraforming the whole place. Why did they originally establish this place on Mars, you ask? Excellent question. To mine. Its riches, of course. Fast forward to now, and I'm digging into the background of Egypt, trying to uncover the truth beneath, well, everything honestly, to see if I can figure out where all the chaos of today actually began. That puts me smack in the middle of the Egyptian dynasty. Mind you, when I was planning to write my novel, when I was 12, it had nothing to do with the Egyptian dynasty whatsoever. Although the idea of pyramids on Mars kept writing that book in my head. It would be this fantastic Disneyland-esque place on Mars. It would be so amazing that for a while no one would want to leave, until they wanted to know what was outside the dome. I never wrote that story. Nope. Now I realize that science fiction novel would have essentially been a history book about Earth. Stick with me, this just gets better. When I began studying Native American culture in my 30s, I discovered that there was something in the Grand Canyon that was off-limits even to most of the tribes that inhabited the area. My study commenced with the Hopi Indians and their ancestral history. In the Hopi origin stories, they mention the flood, which is mentioned in scripture, which seemed rather peculiar when I began researching that. However, the more I delved into the Hopi Indians, the more connections began to emerge between their beliefs and Christianity, as well as with other aspects. For instance, the stories about the Greys and aliens made sense to me when I read the entire origin story. It recounts how during the flood, the Hopi descended into the underground cities and lived with the ant people. Yes, you heard that correctly, ant people. All these stories about the Greys as extraterrestrial aliens have made little sense to me since reading that story. But there's more. If we go even further back than Hopi origins, we encounter the Anasazi. The Anasazi are the predecessors of the Hopi. Most Hopi individuals tend to distance themselves from the Anasazi, as they are known as the ancient enemy tribe. Why is that significant? The Anasazi were a rival tribe that protected the giant gods traveling through the Stargate, mining our world, using our physical and human resources, similar in premise to the movie Stargate. The Anasazi built their canyon dwellings high up to safeguard themselves from these giant gods they served, and acted as protectors of the gate and underworld. Now, I loosely refer to this as a Stargate because it's not a true Stargate per se. Instead, it's simply a portal door, if you will, that leads to different places, including the underworld and cities beneath our world. It also takes you to other lands that no human here has ever seen. When you understand who built the underground, you'll understand why the desert, where the pyramids are located, appears barren and wasted. You'll also realize why the Grand Canyon looks like it was dug out by large mining machines. Remember I mentioned the movie Stargate? In that movie, alien races, that looked like ant people, visited different planets in a pyramid, abducted humans, took on human form when they possessed the bodies and kept them alive forever by regenerating them over and over. Additionally, they were there to mine precious minerals from the planet, using slave labor of humans to do it. Are you getting the big picture yet? The truth is stranger than fiction, because they have presented our past and present to us as entertainment. The movie also subtly suggests that the Grand Canyon and the deserts here on Earth were large mining areas. All the goods they mined were transported through the Stargate elsewhere. That Stargate is still inside the Grand Canyon and yet inaccessible to us even now. However, the government is aware of it, as they are also aware of the other Stargates. They've mined Egypt, Grand Canyon, and many other places on our Earth. Consider the movie Avatar, where the most valuable mineral was found in the Tree of Life, and everyone is connected to it. And all of the giant trees on Earth are now stumps. They are gone. What happened to them? Where is Rupus Negris, the North Pole? Why is it there are no pictures of the place? It is depicted in history as a giant tree in the middle of the world. Now all we see is a black hole where they tell us the North Pole should be, and yet there is nothing there. To continue on a theme, in the next Avatar movie, they harvested the souls of the sea whales, who had a sacred connection to the water people. Let me break down the message for those of you who are missing it. You are the merperson, and the whale is your soul. An alien race is coming to steal it and leave you half alive while draining you of your life force. Does this sound familiar? The story I was going to write when I was a kid was similar to this, but doesn't begin to peel the layers off of this onion. This has all happened before and is still playing out here. Right now. Like a warped and broken record someone forgot to take off the phonograph. Humanity on this earth is the result of a mining colony experiment. While the Anasazi and their gods steal everything valuable from us, including the light of our souls, we are left to die from their leftover poisons. And in return, they let us entertain ourselves with the ancient stories through our sci-fi muses for entertainment. Because what else do we have left?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Is brought to you by the Phoenix. Of course, every word previous to this segment has been a complete and utter lie. Wink, wink. And should be taken with a grain of salt. Wait, what? Is brought to you today by the letter T for truth, the letter U for underground, and the letters P and H for Phoenix, which should start with a F. But just to confuse the dyslexics, we thought we'd make it difficult. What does that stand for? T, U, P, H, better known as tough. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more lies that sound suspiciously like the truth at the Phoenix and Truth Underground.